Boom. And we're live. Hey, Ben. How's it going, buddy?
It's going wonderful.
Dude,
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in a good mood because we've got good news for everybody, don't we, today?
We do. I don't know what that good news is, but I'm happy already.
Well, we are on a different platform today. We gained our second streaming platform today. Do you want to tell the people where they can find us now?
Yes, you can find us on the great platform called LinkedIn on my personal profile. It looks like we already have 6 people watching on LinkedIn also.
Do we really?
From what I'm looking at, yes. So I mean, this is awesome. It's new to me. If you're making comments today on YouTube or LinkedIn, I'll be watching one of those. I don't know which one I'll be watching yet, but I will try to get to your comments.
Yeah, so you can still engage with us the same way you've always been able to on the YouTube channel, but now you can also find us on LinkedIn and hopefully comment there as well. We'll learn how to manage this as this channel grows. Right now, we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but it's exciting. The channel's growing and we're just kind of expanding into other regions, so I'm excited about it. If you're just now stumbling upon this and you have no idea what the heck this nonsense is, this is Tech Recess. Right now, it's currently about 1 p.m. on the West Coast for our West Coast friends. So it's about lunchtime out there. And so we'd like to come together typically around lunchtime just to take a break from our day. So Ben and I can discuss tech. We love all things technology. We've grown up during the digital age. And so we're interested in how technology has not only empowered our personal lives, but also our professional lives as well. So this gives us a chance to just kind of take a quick 20-second time out and talk about things that are exciting in and out of the industry that we work in. And I'm really excited about today's episode. I don't want to really, give things away, so to speak, too soon. I think I want to put you in timeout because you're supposed to vent about something. And to the people that are watching, Ben has no idea what he's going to talk about. 2 minutes before we went live, he was literally scrambling. So I'm excited to see exactly what he's got for us today. So Ben, go to timeout.
So this is the problem when you have too much going on in the world. You've got so much to rant about that you think I want to rant about something, and then you find something else to rant about. So I don't remember what I was going to initially rant about, but today is the 20th anniversary, or we're yesterday or maybe tomorrow, I don't know. It's the 20th anniversary of the I Love You worm, where people were clicking on Visual Basic scripts in their email and ruining their companies. So what do I want to rant about? I want to rant about how far we've come in the industry in the last 20 years and all the great things that we're doing today when it comes to email security and how we don't click on things anymore and we pass all of our fish tests perfectly. Oh, wait, we don't do that because we still click on all the emails. When someone offers me free pizza, I click on the free pizza because I want free pizza. I don't care if anybody loves me anymore. I want free things in my email. So stop clicking on things in email. Hover over the link. Ask the sender, hey, did you mean to send this? And if you don't know the sender, why are you clicking on the email? Stop this. So that's my rant for the day. It's completely impromptu. Just we haven't come anywhere in the last 20 years, except for now we have cool technology to strip that URL out of the email if they know it's bad, or strip the attachment out of the email. Yes, some things do get through, so stop clicking on email links. I'm done, Mike. I'm sorry. It's frustrating. 20 years and it's still a problem.
Let me ask you a personal question. Did you pick this rant because you yourself clicked on a link just this past week?
Dude, I click on links all the time. I am the perfect person for pinpoint marketing with Amazon and Google and Facebook and all of these things that say, hey, it looks like you're into bow hunting. You should check out this new piece of bow tech. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll buy that. I'm terrible at this. And so I'm speaking from experience.
Well, let's move this thing along. Next up, we have our recurring segment, Show and Tell. So Show and Tell is an opportunity for us to take in sponsors. And today's sponsor is Tenable. Tenable is a leader in vulnerability risk management. And so today from Tenable, we have Jay Dunks. Jay, thank you for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. in this day and age, vulnerabilities are looking very interesting and very different than maybe a few months ago, with a lot of people working from home. So as Mike said, we help organizations discover vulnerabilities across their entire enterprise. And that enterprise is fully comprised of their IT resources, operational technology and IoT devices, as well as technology that might be in the cloud. And although that is not necessarily a new technology, what we're doing is applying a risk-based approach to discovery of those vulnerabilities to help organizations decide which ones pose the largest risk to the business, and gives them the ability to remediate those vulnerabilities as quick as possible. So, I wanted to throw out a challenge because, when Mike and Ben asked if we'd come on and sponsor, said they'd give us an opportunity to do some giveaways. And so, I've got some pretty cool swag, some Tenable water bottle and a nice book. While everyone's kind of working from home right now, I'd like to throw out a challenge. We're the creators of a great pen testing and vulnerability management tool called Nessus. If you Google Tenable Nessus download, you can go to our website and you could download your own Nessus scanner that you could scan your house for free. And you can use it for educating yourself on vulnerability management, teach your kids. I've been walking my kids through understanding vulnerabilities and how clicking things is not a good practice, especially if you don't know the defenders. So, thanks for the opportunity. Go download Nessus, and I guess the first person to show a screenshot of them with their Nessus scanner, they email that to Ben. We'll get the nice Tenable swag out to them. So.
That's awesome. So the first person to shoot us a screenshot of yourself with that scanner to technologyrecess@gmail.com, we'll relay that information to Mr. Dunks, and we'll make sure to get that swag gift out to you. Man, Jay, thank you so much for joining us and sponsoring this episode. We really do appreciate you taking some time out of your day and coming on here.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Have a good rest of your day. All right, Ben, I'm excited about today. I really am. Mainly because today's topic, even though we're not technically talking about technology per se, we're talking about a topic that is very relevant around technology. And so today we're talking about... Oh, I just jumped one screenshot ahead. Where did that go? I lost.
You're telling
that.
everybody what we're talking about before we talk about it.
I had a nice pretty little graphic, and now I've got Darien sitting up there all lonely in the corner. So I'm really excited to have Darien with us. For people that don't know who Darien is, I'm just going to fly this kind of off the top of my head, Darien. You pursue a lot of certifications, and so education is something that you're very passionate about. Continued learning is something that you're very passionate about. You've been in the IT space for how long now? How long have you been working in IT?
Yeah, it's been about 13, 14 years now.
Yeah, so well over a decade now. And you've worked a lot on service provider, data center networks, and in cybersecurity as well. Where do you find you spending most of your time now? What kind of part under the IT umbrella do you find yourself playing in? What space do you play in these days?
Yeah, I guess it's a couple of places, but I would call it really cloud DevOps. And then also on the security side, anything from, talking to the threat hunter types, looking for the bad folks in corporate enterprise infrastructures. Going back to the cloud side, I guess to speak to that, anything from infrastructure deployment to connecting your traditional enterprise up into cloud to reach cloud services, cloud applications.
And you are one of the few people that I've ever met that actually holds 4 JNCIE certifications. And you're pretty much an expert in software-defined networking. Is that a fair assessment?
That's kind words, but I will take them. I appreciate it.
Mike, they don't say 4 JNCIEs
They
anymore.
say quad.
They say quads. I mean, that's how awesome these guys are. And there's only like 5 of them in the world.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, Ben, if you knew exactly how many quad JNCIEs there are, because I knew that
No,
there was not many.
There's less than 50, I know for sure, and they're the smartest people in the world. Like we could all learn a lot from these people.
So today's topic's important to me because I'm pretty passionate about education. I've looked at education from a public sector perspective and analyzed it, and I think there's a lot of improvements that we can make. But that's a podcast for another time. I've also been able to kind of examine myself and learn more about the ways that I learn the best, the way that I retain information the best. Kind of as you get older, you become a little bit better at self-assessment, and you learn how you learn the best. And as I've gone into the next chapter of my career, I've become an educator. I'm an enablement architect. And so today's topic about education is very important to me. So can you just give us a little bit of background about how you got into this part of your career? How'd you get into IT from the jump?
Yeah, it's fair. So I would say by luck, to be perfectly honest, and a little bit of nepotism. As you mentioned, I started my college career really in tech. So majored in EE, basically pulled a major out of a hat, to be frank, and sounded like a good way to make some money coming out of college. Over time, I kind of found that really what I was interested in was like distributed systems and communication. So learning about fiber optics, learning about digital signal processing, and that kind of helped me get into networking, I guess. Really, I thought there was a lot of different ways that a networking career could go. You could do anything from hardware all the way up to network operations, or now even things like automation and software development. So it felt like a good flexible way to get going. I have to say I owe a lot of credit to my uncle, my dad's younger brother. I was kind of just dorking around one summer when I was in college, and he had a friend that was working at Intel, working on GBICs, and this is back when a GBIC was enormous, probably like this size. They call them. It's crazy. But they had an internship available because one of their interns ended up taking another opportunity. So last minute, I got shimmed into that role, parlayed that into an internship at Cisco. From there, I went over to a defense contractor. So I owe it all to my uncle, and I owe it all to that person who decided to quit that internship, I guess, too.
Man, that's awesome. When I look back on my life and I think about the influences and the path that I've taken, it's always been interesting to find out where the mentors and influences have come from to kind of shape who I am today. And when people ask me how I got to where I am today, it was honestly not a plan. It just kind of one opportunity came up after another, and I meandered my way down this path to where I am today. So it's definitely interesting to look back on. So like I just brought up, and like Ben just clarified, you are one of the very first quad JNCIEs on the planet. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey, the decision to pursue that path? Did you kind of have that in mind when you first started pursuing certifications? Did you say, okay, I want to get on all tracks, I want to go after the expert certification level? Or did you just kind of over time build up to that? How did you kind of, just tell me about that journey, would you?
Yeah, sure, would love to. By the way, there's 5 now. So.
Oh, wow.
Well, so I knew that they did the design track because I have the JNCIE DS for data center design, but they were building out that design track. Is that what you're talking about? Is that a completely 5th JNCIE DIE or whatever that is now?
No, there's a cloud track now, JNCIE Cloud.
Oh, it's cloud now. Okay. So do you happen to know how high the design track goes up? Do you know anything about that?
That's a good question.
Okay. I haven't looked at it in quite a while. Disclaimer, all of my certifications have expired. I've been busy doing my primary job and haven't had a chance to go back and really dedicate the time necessary to studying. So my JNCIPs, I never got a JNCIE, but my JNCIPs have officially expired now.
I can keep them up. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, compared to how you study today, whenever you got your first JNCIE, what has your journey been like or evolution been like on how to study and retain information? Do you study differently today than you did, years ago when you got your first certification? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe touching on the previous question, sorry, I dodged it a bit, but
that's all right.
Part of the reason I really started certification, my career started back in 2007 or so, my actual career, if you will. And 2007 was right before the whole global economic downturn, if you will. the housing bubble that caused, massive issues. And it was pretty humbling. I remember having what I thought was a really safe, and it was a great job. I had a lot of fun doing it. I also was working on a government project that got canceled as a result of some of those economic issues. And so that really kind of changed my perspective, in terms of what safety looked like, or job security, if you will. I floated my resume out there a couple of times thinking I had some decent skills and was hireable. When you don't get, even a phone call or a response back, it's pretty humbling. So I think part of the reason I started really going the route of certification was to, feel better and to gain some confidence, if you will, and have some, outward stamps of approval, right? So I could feel good about being able to go out there and apply. And now if I don't get a phone call back, I feel a little bit less bad. It's okay. That's just part of it. It was definitely pivotal in helping get my confidence. I guess going back to your original question, how I study now. I mean, back in the day when I was a youngster, it was just, blast and try to grab everything. And I'm still kind of that way. I'm one of those people that has way too many tabs open and multiple browser windows. My laptop is sometimes crawling because of that. But I would say, to your point, it has become a little bit more focused, as you get kids and family, dogs, and what have you. I mean, you just don't have that time to grind through it, and you have to be more thoughtful and more tactical, I guess. And, I think in that way, there's a lot of different mediums, right, to learn. I've got a master's degree, and for whatever that's worth, I think it's been useful, and I've gotten what I wanted out of it. That involves a lot of book learning, but, that's not really the best way to do a targeted, skill, or to gain or acquire a targeted skill. And so nowadays, I might be in very specific lab exercise that are publicly available. I think it's kind of nice now. Things are, I wouldn't say a lot easier, but things have gotten easier over time. Back in my day when I was working with Ben, you had to build these VMs by hand, download BSD, try to install images to make them act like routers. It was crazy. I can't believe I did that now. A lot of that's over the internet, so it's pretty nice.
So I've got a question. So you mentioned reading books, and you mentioned a lot about kind of the way you studied and the way we studied back in the day. I learned by reading articles, reading books, what have you. And I'm trying to think, I haven't gotten a new certification in a while, but I used to buy like the books that Joe and Doug wrote and read them like they were like a novel. I had my coffee or my hot chocolate next to me, and I was just having fun. Is that still the main way that people are getting these certifications, or is like YouTube and some of the training video libraries out there, is that the way that they're doing it? Tell me a little bit about like how that has evolved since you started your track.
Yeah, I think my experience kind of mirrors yours. I mean, I think it kind of depends too on where you are on the journey, right? I think if you're earlier on, like I was when we first started working together, I did the same thing. I cracked open that 1,000-page novel and just went cover to cover, highlighting sections, going back and trying to remember key points. I think now though, like for where I am in my career, doing some of that doesn't make as much sense. It's a little bit too time consuming. But if I'm coming into like a new topic, so for example, I've been neck deep in trying to absorb cloud concepts. I have to do something similar. Right now it's on a book because there's fewer books. It's a lot of, side documentation. It's, Coursera, for example, courses. So, the medium changed, but it's a similar process, having to go from the ground up, bust myself all the way down to the associate level and go top to bottom, or bottom to top. I guess I said that. For networking, yeah. For networking stuff, I guess it's different. Now, we have that base, right? So we have experience, we've done work with customers. So, it's about finding targeted pieces of content. So if I need to go recertify, I'm not going to crack open a 1,000-page book anymore. Sorry, Ben, or sorry, Joe and Doug. I love your book, but, not cracking that open as much. But, I'll try to find videos. Maybe I'll use a service, to help me help me bootstrap my learning since there's just less time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're playing right into Mike right now.
you
Oh my
really
gosh.
are. Well, now that I find that now that I've got a pretty decent, solid base in a lot of different, technologies, that a book just puts me to sleep. So I sleep by reading, basically. But whenever I'm trying to find how to do something new, I'm always going towards video content or just going to my peers that I know have related experience in the industry and just use them as a sounding board and, just bounce a question off of them. I find that that's a lot more engaging and entertaining to me. And because it's more entertaining, it's kind of exciting. And I find that I retain that information better than if I just try and read a book. I'm a much more visual person. And then taking that and labbing it up is the way that I always retain information better than just by trying to read information. What else did I have here? You brought up your master's degree. And so I wanted to ask you kind of what that curriculum looked like versus like focused technology-based training. So pursuing your master's degree, what did that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I was fortunate. Went to a place called UC Santa Cruz, which partnered with Lockheed Martin at that point. And so they designed a curriculum where I could go, in my spare time, basically just after work, and they tried to tailor it. So it was through an extension program. I ended up doing some of the time on campus, which was kind of fun. I had to take a little sabbatical, which was pretty entertaining. But yeah, it was like a pretty classic classroom experience in a lot of ways. There was a textbook, there were lectures, and I still have these notebooks. I spent so much time taking notes, I can't get myself to throw them away. So I still carry these old books with me. It's interesting. I guess it kind of marries to what Doug was mentioning earlier, right? Like cracking open the 1,000-page novel and going through from the ground up. I remember taking algorithms or introduction to algorithms, and those are such abstract and ethereal concepts that, the idea of trying to find a video or a 5-minute video that could synthesize all that, maybe it exists. Maybe I just haven't found it yet. But it's to get all the groundwork and to go through all the theoretical concepts and the math. I think a classroom environment is certainly helpful for that, at least for me.
So what about virtual classrooms versus in-person classrooms? Because I know everybody now is virtually, just because of the times that we live in. But going forward, once things kind of get back to normal, is there one medium that's better, worse? Is it for me? If I'm sitting next to people, I'm not listening to what. And I like the people, and I'm not listening to whatever the person in front is saying. But if I'm on my computer, I'm probably not listening to you either because I'm doing other things. So I don't know. Which one helps you the most?
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting one. I think having like a dedicated class time where there's grades on the line and you have recurring people, it certainly helps keep you accountable, right? I think that accountability helps me. I can imagine there are people out there where that's not the case, right? They want to have periods where they hit it really hard and they want to be able to choose that timing. Maybe they have, a really varied, work-life balance. And so that kind of regimen doesn't work for them. I guess for me, I kind of like that. I like having some structure, but also some freedom. So, some flexibility is good. It's hard to say. I've found value out of formal education, I guess, personally. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is interesting. I went to school for management information systems, and while some of the concepts do apply, a lot of the curriculum centered around Novell networking, and I learned COBOL for programming. Two things which I have never seen nor touched ever again after I left college, and so I found a lot more learning on the job, which it resonated more with me. It seemed a lot more relevant, and it was exciting and easy for me to digest because I was actually learning how to do it while being there. And I built a lot of great relationships while doing that as well. So I found a lot of value in on-the-job training as opposed to my formal education, which probably could have been a lot better had I known more specifically what path I wanted to follow. I started with one major and then kind of pulled the ejection handle real quick and went to something that was easy for me, which was something IT related.
I guess it's a great point too, to build off of that, the networking side of it, like the personal networking side of it, not the nerd networking, but
Yeah.
like there's nothing more valuable than when you have someone you trust tell you that something works or something is a good path where you can be successful. I mean, you save so much time, you know, not having to deal with a bunch of nonsense that won't work for your situation, right? Just being able to bounce ideas. So, you know, if you can achieve that in a virtual classroom, power to you, you know. That's probably great.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I couldn't imagine being someone that was lost without connections today and just trying to find my path and try to find my way forward. There's so much information out there and a lot of disinformation out there that it's very hard to kind of wade through the minutia and find what you need. So having those trusted relationships that you can lean on for that valuable information, I think is priceless.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I would have gotten I was pretty into certifications, but without knowing Doug and Joe and those guys at the old Proteus company, I don't know if I would have explored, you know, what it means to be an expert in Juniper, and, you know, from there Cisco, and then going on down the road. So definitely who you hang around with and who influences you is a big deal when it comes to this education and certification stuff. I've got a super serious controversial question for you. When it comes to certifications, what do you do? Do you put it in your signature? Do you don't put it in your signature? I mean, do you brag on yourself when you say, hey, this email came from Darien, and by the way, I'm one of like only 12 people in the world that have just letting you know.
It is a very important question to answer, right? And it speaks a lot to who you are as a person. You know? It's weird, and I don't know. I don't put it in mine currently today. Part of the reason is, you know, those certifications, while I'm proud of them and they're important, they don't perfectly align to what I do on a day-to-day basis all the time. So it doesn't really make sense for me to always have it. But I will say I've been the person that included it. So maybe that means I'm pretentious, or my head's too, I don't know, whatever anyone wants to say to that. For me, I just did it because, you know, sometimes you only get one chance to make a good first impression. So it's a way to convey a little bit of trust. You know, it's not a perfect mechanism to do that, but, you know, it's a way to help cultivate or build that relationship, to Mike's earlier comment.
Yeah, I think when I first started, when I was younger, in my early 20s, and had my JNCIE, I was more apt to put it on because I wanted people to think. Proud. Yeah, well, I'm not sure obviously I was proud, but I also wanted people to know that this wasn't just an email from some guy about networking. It was somebody with experience. And now I haven't for the past 10 years or so, I guess I've been at JNCIE for 10 years now. But so probably the last 7 years. And really the reason why is because I want the recipient of my emails to appreciate the context of the email, not who it's from. And that's changed as I've gotten older, for sure. But yeah, I definitely wanted some initial clout with whoever I was emailing at first, saying, hey, wait, I have something important to say and you should listen to me. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're getting real close to the end of our time today, Darien. And there's one thing that I wanted to ask you, since this is a show where Ben and I talk about tech. Is there any way that tech empowers you to be a better student? In what ways do you use technology to help you study or prepare for any of these types of exams?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think some of it is organizational. Gotten a little bit better at that. Still not perfect. I'm still one of those people that have maybe hundreds of tabs open at a given time. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that. Maybe that'll help me fix it.
But there's an order. There's a method to the madness, right? Like you've got a progression in the tabs. Like they tell a story. No.
Yeah, I can find the exact tab I need at any given time. Yeah. You know, speaking to that, you know, I use things like Evernote just to be a brain dump, right?
Yeah.
Getting better about labels and tags to try to find the things that I need, or to be faster about finding the things I need. You know, I remember, and this still holds true, you know, there's any number of ways to learn optimally or effectively, right? And so, you know, there's streaming platforms I use. I mentioned Coursera. I mean, They have lots of good content that synthesizes stuff down in a compact way, or in a way that you can consume over time even. Other stuff might include also, I don't know if this is exactly in the vein, but now platforms, they automate some of the nonsense for you in terms of setup to get to the root of what you're trying to learn. There's something out there called Katakota, for example, and they have a lot of automated exercises that you can just spin up through a browser. So if you're curious about service mesh or Kubernetes, but you don't have the time to spin up all the VMs or spin up the services in cloud, it's all done for you. So you can kind of get to the root of what you're trying to do. So I think it touches a lot of what I do. It's definitely harder to find the time to crack open a book. So I'm thankful for that in that regard.
No, I think that's a very legitimate point. I find a lot of vendors that I'm partnered with now have a lot of cloud lab-based environments where in the past they didn't have those types of offerings. And so if you wanted to learn something, you had to go out, you had to find the VM for that type of solution. You had to figure out which platform you're going to deploy that VM in. And you had to lab all that up. And it was a tedious type of process in order to just get to the environment where you can start to learn and start to play. Now it's almost on demand. You flip a switch and within a matter of moments, you've got a complete sandbox for you to play around with. And it makes it a lot easier or enables us just to learn a lot easier and a lot more efficiently. So that's a very valid point.
So I'm going to act like my old grandpa self and say, no, I think part of the benefit of learning is building everything from scratch.
I agree.
That's how I learned. This is before ESXi even worked on a Linux host. Like it was called VMware Server back in like 2006 or something like that. I learned what Hyper-V was before any of this. I learned what virtualization was, and I wouldn't know what I know today if I'm allowed to set up a bunch of firewalls and let me build policies. So no, I think being able to build it from scratch, it takes a ton of time, but it gives you a better building blocks for what you want to do in the end. I mean, I sound like my dad in my big block Chevy. It used to look this way. No, I feel the same way as he does, just different tech.
No, I agree with you. And I think it goes back to my point talking about now that I've got this foundation, it's quicker for me to use this video content now to add to my education. I think that learning the underlying fundamentals of how things work and how things operate by having to build that is an imperative part to building a well-rounded skill set and deep understanding of a concept. But when it comes time that you've already got that information and you want to improve upon that having the ease of deploying an environment in seconds that you can play in is priceless, in my opinion. After you already know how to build the underlying VMware networking, right, and then deploy the VMs on top of that, there's no reason going through that pain, that tedious process over and over and over again to hammer those things home, I don't think. Maybe I'm just getting up on my soapbox now. So Ben, we're getting kind of over our time. Is there any other closing questions or comments you had for Darien before we turn him loose so he can get back to his day job?
No, I think this is great. I don't think 30 minutes is enough time to talk about
it's not.
The impact of learning on your career in technology. We could have taken so many different avenues today. I just really appreciate your time, Darien. Like I said at the beginning, you are one of the smartest people in the world, and I will continue to go to you with any SDN questions, any DevOps questions, or any advanced Juniper questions. Man, you're the bomb.com when it comes to all that.
Appreciate the kind words. I had a lot of smart people in my life like yourself, and so thanks for showing me the way, and thanks for having me in your little community.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Darien. And for any of our viewers that might want to reach out to you and engage you in any way possible, what ways can they actually contact you? Do you have an email address or a website or anything that they can ping you on social media?
Yeah, best place really is LinkedIn, quite frankly. Bit of a hermit, try to stay off most of social media, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Darien Hirotsu, DARIENHIROTSU.
Gotcha. Darien, thank you so much, man. Have a good rest of your day. We really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
All right, bye now. All right, Ben, it's just you and I in the classroom, man. I enjoyed today. And like you, I don't think 30 minutes was enough to talk about today's topic, but I don't think it's enough to talk about any of the topics that we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's not much of a recess if we take up a full hour of everybody's day every week, though.
Yeah, we can't do that. We need to have a technology weekend meetup or something on a Saturday or something, possibly.
I agree. I did want to mention that Thomas Gensch out there,
Yes.
our old buddy, he commented on LinkedIn. He was talking about other ways that you can further your career when it comes to, and further your knowledge when it comes to technology. He uses Udemy, which my mom used a lot during her AWS certification, Cloud Guru, and others training sites like that. He also takes handwritten notes, which brings me to a point. Handwritten notes are great, but you can lose them.
You did lose a notebook recently, right?
I lost a notebook about 6 months ago that it caused quite a piece of drama, because that was the only notes for a 2-hour meeting that 6 people had. So yeah, it was very interesting. So
I forgot about
notes
that.
are great, but digital formats that are backed up are even better.
Yeah, Tom, he's an SE at Tuffin now, isn't he? Is that where he went?
Tufin. Yeah, Tufin. Yeah, it's an interesting company with really cool firewall management policy based approaches to it.
Really?
So,
Yeah, Thomas is great, man. I like him a lot. All right, so that concludes episode 8, right? This was episode 8, wasn't it?
Episode 8. Yeah, we've got episode 9 next week with a penetration tester. So we're going to be talking about some super cool things and how there might be gunshots fired. I don't know.
Ooh, interesting. I'm glad you said that. All right, so what day is that?
Monday, and I don't know the time.
You don't know the time. Sometime Monday. So
it'll be live on YouTube and LinkedIn.
Live on YouTube.
Click on the button.
So now we have seen how comments on LinkedIn work. I don't like it as much as YouTube, as far as it's easier to see on YouTube live, I think, than it is on LinkedIn, but that's okay.
Not bad.
Any comments? We good?
No, we're good. I like it. And like Jay said, just remember, if you go to Tenable.com, download the Nessus free scanner, post a picture with it on either YouTube, LinkedIn, or email us at technologyrecess@gmail.com. You will be the fine recipient of a Tenable notebook and water bottle.
Well, if we're going to start having people post pictures out there as opposed to just emailing us, we've got to get like a hashtag or something that we can follow so we know when they post. We can't just say post it on LinkedIn and then some random person's just posting some picture expecting some swag. We can't monitor the whole internet.
Post it to our LinkedIn or the video post.
Oh, there you go. That's key. That's key.
Don't just randomly put it out there and hope we find it.
All right, so that's it. I guess we'll take this ball and go home. We'll head to the call to action now. All right, Ben, it's good to see you, buddy. We'll talk to you later. Later. All right, everybody, it's time for the kickball kickoff, the call to action. And I haven't thought too much about today. I think that I'm actually going to reuse one that I think that I've used in the past. Since today was centered around, education and continuing your education after the fact, after your formal education is completed, pursuing certifications, becoming subject matter experts, things of that nature. Utilize this unique time that we have available to learn something that interests you. It doesn't have to be something that empowers you to be better at your job. It doesn't have to be something that's professional related. It could be something that is just interesting to you and makes you a more well-rounded, better person. For instance, I'm trying to learn Portuguese. Who knew? So, Ten um bom dia. That's have a good day in Portuguese. I probably butchered it, but that's probably kind of close. So from all of us here at Tech Recess, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day and watching Ben and I talk to Darien today about certifications and education, just talk about technology again. If you like the content, as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those good things. And make sure you hit that bell down there so you get an alert every time that Ben and I go live. As far as the rest, I guess that's it. We'll see y'all next week for another episode, episode 9. Until then, bye everybody.